So thank you everybody for being present for today's evening program. Today we are very happy and very honored that we have with us Dr. Dhaval Dulal Prabhu, whom we call in ISKCON circle as Dwarkadhish Prabhu. He did his MD medicine from Mumbai University, and when he was studying his undergraduation way back in 1982, when he was looking for the meaning of life, he came in touch with Bhagavad Gita and then devotees, and then he got involved in spiritual activities. Later on, he took spiritual life very seriously and got spiritual initiation in 1986. And then in 1990, he got married. Uh, and he, along with five other doctors who were very good friends during college days, and later on they did post graduation, and later on they came together and developed a very wonderful hospital in Mumbai, which is famous as Bhaktivedanta Hospital and Research Center. It is a multi-specialty hospital, and they started everything from scratch. They just had a dream, they had just a vision, and they had that desire to serve. So they really struggled very hard, and now they have developed such a beautiful hospital, which is not only hospital for body, but which caters to to the body, mind, and especially the spirit soul, the spiritual self. And now that hospital has become like a beacon light all over the world. People around the world come there to see what is so special of that hospital, because those patients who go there, they not only their body gets transformed and become better, but lives also get transformed. And so he travels around the world sharing wisdom of Bhagavad Gita to doctors as well as leaders around the world. So we are very honored that today he's here with us to address all of us. So Prabhuji, here we have some doctors who are practicing doctors for many, many years, and some we have students as well. So they are some of them are medical students, and some of them have been practicing doctors. Yes. So thank you very much for your valuable time. Thank you. Thank you. Request you can put your phones in some mode that will not disturb you and disturb others, and we can focus on the subject matter of today's discussion. Whatever.
ओम ज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। So happy again with friends whom I interacted last time with, and happy to be with all of you. We are friends of the same fraternity. We are birds of a feather. We are flocking together today for a very wonderful evening of sharing our hearts for something which may be, of common interest, and yet may not have received the type of attention which it deserves. Just 2 days back, we have a departmental meeting, and we had to discuss, we had to do a case auditing of a person, a very young lady. I think she was in her 40s, and she came with fever. Um, and I admitted one of my colleagues in my department, physician, and she had respiratory symptoms. She had cough, she had respiratory distress, So I think they did a scan or an X-ray, and patient was put on a good antibiotic. The doctor gets a phone call just a few hours later in the uh, almost towards the night. Patient is in more respiratory distress. They cannot be in the wards anymore. They have to be shifted to the ICU. In the ICU, the hypoxia started taking place. Oxygen dropped, and patient was pushed on a ventilator, on an invasive ventilation, right? And then critical care management was started, anatoros was started, and just few hours later, they found that she is leptospira positive. And within 36 hours of her admission, she succumbed. She succumbed, right? You know, she was given the best of care, but as you know, the season is like that. So we were supposed to do case auditing because when we have such unnatural, not unnatural, necessarily unnatural, but some death of this type, young patient dying, then the whole hospital wants to take inventory so that we did everything which was necessary at the right time in the right way, and they found that everything was done. There was myself, my senior physician colleagues, all of us said there's no blame on the physician, treating physician. There is absolutely all right. Everything happened in time, but patient has succumbed. This episode is not uncommon for you and me, doctors, right? During COVID times, which are not very far, hopefully we have not forgotten our lessons which we learned that time, where patient would come with similar complaints of simple fever, right, with some URTI type of symptoms, right, and suddenly going to, what they used to call as happy hypoxia. I don't know why it used to call that happy hypoxia, where patient remained apparently symptom free, but is still actually dropping oxygen. But I don't know why it was called happy, but since it was happy. It was asymptomatic hypoxia, labeled as happy hypoxia. And then we found patients similarly succumbing in sometimes few days, right? This puts the doctor's life into a very special situation where a doctor sees very closely what is life. He sees life very, very closely, which no other person in the world can ever see. Of thousands of professions the world has for excellence in your life, for progress and career, the doctor is in a very privileged position because he sees life so at close quarters. Just after this incident took place and we audited this patient's analysis of leptospira, I got a phone call that my friend is he was married for 6 years, and for 6 years they were trying hard to get a baby, right? And they had tried various things. They didn't go to any invasive IVF and all those sort of stuff, but they were trying hard, a lot of prayer, a lot of going here and there, medical checkups. Everything, as they say, was normal. After 6 long years, a baby was born to them, right? And as I was talking to him on the phone, we were understanding how the glory of God is in front of us, right? How in just 9 months, the baby from a simple embryo, a zygote and a a zygote is formed, and then 9 months, eyes, ears, nose, hair, organs, everything becomes ready. And ready-made, nature prepares you a baby, and out there, you know, when FTND is there, then the child is born, right? So we see death, my dear friends, from these causes, and we also see life. We see birth also. And between the two, what do we see? We see disease and old age. We see Janma, we see Janma, Mrityu, Jara, and Vyadhi, right? So this has been labeled by the Supreme Creator as primary sources of dukkha, right? Dukkha is not when you lose a job, which so many people lose nowadays, or your car is stolen, or your mobile is lost. These are not real dukkhas. But these are real dukkhas, right? So as doctors, we are all pursuing our careers and hoping to get success. Is it not? We all want to get success. However, it is important for doctors to, in their pursuit of success, to sometimes sit quietly with themselves and analyze, do I want to simply become successful or do I want to become happy? Right? Because they too appear similar, and most of us probably would presume that success would automatically lead to happiness. That's what the world has already convinced us. कि भैया, if you get success in your profession as a doctor, happiness is just next door. It will enter into your room and you will be very, very happy. Hmm? I remember we were doing, this is 2003, 20 years ago, uh, and the Bombay was hit by a very powerful news that a very powerful cardiologist, his name was Neetu Mandke. Some of you doctors may have heard his name, one of the most famous cardiac surgeons of the country, who was at Hinduja Hospital, a premier hospital, level 4 hospital in Mumbai. So at 53, having performed 10,000 completed cardiac surgeries, including having operated some of the most VIP, political leaders, etc., he himself had a massive heart attack and died, and nothing could have saved. Right? So apparently, this person was successful. But what is the heart of a person craving for? Are we only satisfied with success? What does success really mean to doctors? Well, success can mean various things. When will you say, I'm a successful practitioner? Okay, as a gynecologist, physician, pediatrician, whatever field we are, when will I say I am successful practitioner? We will say that when we have good patient volume. Patient volume is good. That means there is a lot of professional satisfaction. That yes, I have been visited by a lot of patients and I do good number of consultations, and those who are surgeons may say I convert some of the people into surgeries, and therefore it gives me number two, financial stability. So professional success brings financial stability. And then doctor is the person who's maybe a little more, able to afford comforts of life which others may aspire for. He may be living a little more comfortable life, a better house, better car, a better ambience, and that is success, definitely. As he grows, he's not just satisfied with doing that. He wants to be also a little going into uh, maybe some research or maybe some publications, or, you know. So he wants to also get some reputation, right? So if you have good patient volume, financial stability, and you also become famous doctor, right? Then it is a higher degree of. So now he also has the third degree of being very reputed doctor. Oh, that doctor, बहुत famous gynecologist है. ये ना बहुत अच्छा. He is such a nice. So that also is a third level where you are reputed also. And then when your career excellence takes place, where your names are published in various journals, you are become the IMA president, or you get some awards from Foxy or whatever else, whatever body may be there, the API body or critical care management body of India, then you get some awards. So then you have the fourth degree where you have career excellence. So these are various rising levels of success which a doctor may aspire for. Is there anything wrong in aspiring for this? Absolutely no. This is logical. This is the journey of a doctor who wants to go up the ladder. In this hard struggle which in this needs, this is not going to be a cakewalk. to go to this level of fourth degree success, what you're talking about, a young student may aspire to be this level. The hard struggle uh, uh, may often bring about missing out on things which adds a lot of value to life as well. There may be, therefore, if you ask this question, are doctors very healthy people themselves? So, in their pursuit of success, which is very intense activity, getting in the morning and rounds and this, that, whatever, all of us know what type of life we lead. So, then the question is, what is our personal life? My dear friends, when does true happiness come? That question is to be asked. Mhm. Because the world has understood and doctors have seen themselves that the most successful doctors are not necessarily the most happy people. That means that even though we need to lead to the degree 4 level of success, there was something missing. Why is that and what is that? What is that, as they say, the missing link? Hmm? So, for this, we have to go back to our basics. We understand that we, as individuals, exist at different levels. All of us have heard the word Atma, right? And all of us are quite familiar with the word Atma. Now, Atma is a Sanskrit word used in all our literatures, but Atma is not just the soul. Atma in Sanskrit stands for the body. Oftentimes, Atma is used in the scriptures for the mind, and Atma definitely is used for a seat of consciousness. That means we exist at the physical level, we exist at the mental level, and we exist also at the spiritual level. Who can deny that we exist at the physical level? If you pinch me, I'm conscious, I'll get hurt. If I fall, break a bone, I'll have a problem. So I'm existing at the physical level, but I'm also having emotions, feelings, responses to the environment, etc. So I'm existing also at the level of my mind, right? Because I'm interacting with people, I have grief, I have sorrow, I have happiness, I have got frustration, and I have joys and celebrations. So this is all happening over here at the level of the mind. But that is not enough. Since I'm conscious, right? The body itself is not conscious, correct? The amoeba has got no brain, but it is conscious. It is just a unicellular organism. The plant apparently has no brain, but it is very, very conscious. Because all of us have seen plants, you put them next to the window, they will automatically gravitate towards going towards the sun. There is consciousness which tells the plant, hey, this is darkness area, go this side. You'll get a lot of sunlight and you'll be happy and healthy. Right? So even a apparently brainless plant or a unicellular organism like the humble amoeba, who causes amoebiasis and dysenteries common in this season, right? Even that also has what we call as consciousness, conscious awareness. We used to have a experiment in, I remember doing that in maybe in 12th standard, where they would bring for us dirty water, contaminated water, or maybe it was a stool sample, I don't know what it was. We didn't care where it was, but they would show us, you look into the microscope, right, and you see the amoeba, right? You put a cover, you stain it, maybe H&E stain, I don't know what stain, what it was, but they put a cover slip there, and then you slowly from the slide you heat up with a some lighter or something, right? And you heat up on one side, the amoeba was on this side, amoeba senses that and he moves to the other side because he senses that there is an unhealthy environment. So even the simple amoeba also has protective responses to the environment. Hmm? That comes from the Atma, right? The seat of consciousness. So unless we, and of course we have our social dimension also, right? So we have physical, then we have the mental, we have the emotional, we have the social, and we have the spiritual, right? So it is important that we understand this is called as Panchakosh. Hmm? This is very powerful. Nowadays, there's a lot of understanding in the Neo Bharat that we are now into getting into, where there's a lot of awakening of old sciences. I had a chance to go and represent G20 at IIT Mandi when the G20 was there, and I presented a paper and was talking to them about integrated medicine, right? So there, one of my friends who's an expert in Panchakosh, right, he talked about this model of health, right, because they wanted to present that the Neo Bharat, which we are all getting into, is a place where every doctor, every student, every teaching institute must make people aware that the real culture which we have in our country is addressing scientifically and properly all these different levels of human existence: physical, mental, emotional, psycho, social, and of course, spiritual. Right? And therefore, as doctors, we may have addressed some dimension, but how much are we spiritually awakened? Did we get the time? Did we get the sobriety of, understanding where we understand that yes, unless this is not done, my life is incomplete. Hmm? I was talking about death a few minutes back, and there's a very interesting story in the Srimad Bhagavatam in the ninth canto. And there's a, we know Lord Ramachandra, he came in the Raghu Vamsha. So his ancestors, Dirgabahu, Raghu, and his ancestor was a great king called as Maharaj Khatawanga. Maharaj Khatawanga, right? Some of you may have heard his name. So Maharaj Khatawanga has an interesting story about how he addressed this in a very powerful way. So Khatawanga Maharaj was asked to come to the heavenly planets to help. Those are talking about early end of Satyuga or maybe early part of Trita Yuga. When he was asked, he was deputed by the demigods to come and assist them in the warfare, right? Celestial warfare, which was going on. And after having engaged in gruesome warfare, somehow the demigods won, right? And they were so happy with this king, and they said that we are very happy with you. Now we want to give you a vardhan. We want to bless you with a benediction. So ask us for a benediction. So what did he ask? Right? And it's very important what did he ask, right? He said, please tell me how much time do I have to live? What is my shesh time? How much time do I have to live in this world? And they told him that you have only one moment, one murta to live. One moment, actually, they said one moment, right? One moment on the heavenly planets is equal to one murta on earth. Anybody knows what is one muhurta equal to? One muhurta is 48 minutes. So he came to immediately descend on earth and sat in a Padmasana position. He focused his mind on Krishna, went into deep samadhi, right? And uttering Krishna, saying, all of you are doing that right now. Almost some of you are in samadhi, chanting Hare Krishna mantra. He focused his mind on the holy names of the Lord, Sri Krishna, and with deep absorption, Ante Narayana Smriti, right? He actually left his body in divine consciousness and entered into the planet of Vaikuntha, right? So he was lucky to know how much time he had. Now the question we can ask ourselves is, do we really know how much time do we have? The leptospira lady I mentioned in the beginning, did she know that she had only 36 hours to live as she entered the gates of the hospital? Answer is no, right? So they say in Kali Yuga it is padam padam yad vipadam natesha, right? There is danger at every step. You can be walking in what looks like ordinary water and you can get infected with leptospira. Something which looks so harmless, you're just walking, right? You're not doing anything, you could get something, right? So therefore, we want to see how are we also becoming spiritually aware of our existence. We are physically quite aware, right? Of course, doctors may not be even physically aware because to become physically aware, they need to have a good physical health. And you have to ask yourself, how many doctors are suffering from blood pressure, sugar, fatty liver, dyslipidemia, right? Insomnia, right? How many of our doctors really get time to take care of basic needs, diet, sleep, and exercise? If I were to ask you, dear friends, how many of you perform exercise every day? How many will raise your hands? Some of you, right? Do you get your 7-8 hours of sleep every day? You get 7-8 hours of sleep every day? Lesser hands are going up, right? Do you eat your meals at regulated times every day? So good. So this is so basic to us. We keep advising our patients, but the knowledge of the Gita is so useful that when we actually accept the Gita in our life, it is not just for spiritual emancipation, right? The Gita is such a beautiful, wholesome scripture as a manual to mankind to live a more wholesome life. When I say wholesome means addressing all, as I said, all our different needs we talked about. Therefore, when Krishna and the good God, the speaker of the Gita, celebrated author of the Gita, when he speaks to all his children because Krishna is the father. He says, Aham Bija Pradaha Pita. He is the father of all living beings. When the father speaks to his children, he wants to take care of children not only spiritually but in every possible way. So he says, Yukta Ahara Viharasya, Yukta Chestasya Karmasho, Yukta Swapnama Bodhasya, Yoga Bhavati Dukkhaha. Right? So he talks about a very scientific principle which the world is beginning to understand. Spoken 5,000 years ago. He talks about regulation life, right? And Yukta Ahara means regulated food habits. What you eat, when you eat, how much you eat, right? Yukta, regulated. Because basic laws of diet, are we doctors getting that? Are we physically happy at that level, right? We may just eat our food and go to the clinic, right? But to be eating food, chewing food, relishing food, understanding the food comes as a blessing of the Lord, right? Therefore, when we eat food, a devotee just seafood and doesn't just start eating food because it is tasty, right? He folds his hand first, acknowledging that this food is not coming from man. That means there is spirituality in every part of our life. The spiritual awakening which you're talking about is not a matter of just chanting God's names, which may be very important, very crucial. But for a spiritually awakened person, he wants to feel the God's presence in his routine life, not just in his temple, but when he is in his clinic, when he is in his home, when he is elsewhere, he wants to be spiritually awakened. And therefore, that awakening is a source of true happiness. So, when eating our food, for example, we are aware that your wife has made the chapati, the sabji, the dal, and the salad, maybe your favorite pizzas, whatever she has made, right? Or your rasagullas, Bengalis, right? Or your kothol. Very famous for kothol sabji, right? That is one of her favorites, a Bengali dish, right? But she didn't make the kothol itself. She mixed the kothol with some spicing and made it. Kothol was made by God. The chapati we had, she made the nice fulka, but the wheat was coming from God, right? So everything actually has a spiritual connection. Spiritual connection. And therefore, when a devotee folds his hand in prayer, he is thanking Krishna for giving him this wonderful prasad, which is prasad. What does prasad mean? Prasad means grace. Prasad means mercy, right? When he does a simple act of drinking water, all of us expect to take 2.5 to 3 liters of water in a day to keep ourselves hydrated, right? Therefore, there's always a water cooler is always there, and doctors sometimes forget to drink water also. They're so busy the whole day, they get kidney stones, right? When you drink, Krishna says it is not difficult to remember me. He says in the Gita, Rapshoham Apshu Kaunteya. My dear Kunti, Kaunteya, son of Kunti, I am the real taste of water. Right? So to remember Krishna, to remember God is very, very easy. Whenever you take a glass of water and drink it, you can become spiritually awakened, spiritually energized, spiritually, exhilarated to think that this satisfaction I'm getting will not come from drinking anything else. When you need water, you need water. It can't come from Coke. Coke will not give you that satisfaction. It comes only from H2O, right? That taste is water, right? In monsoon, yesterday as I flew from Bombay to Kolkata, we go above the clouds, right? 36,000 feet above mean sea level. The flight goes 800 kilometers per hour. So we are above the clouds, and when you look at the clouds, there's a whole sheet of hundreds and hundreds of miles of sheet of just fluffy clouds everywhere, fluffy clouds. When you meditate, now when you say meditation, for a person who's in the sattva guna, meditation is natural. Meditation means thinking deeply about a subject in relation to God. That is called meditation. It does not just mean that this is a present. No. When I think positively of any subject in relation to God, that is called as meditation. So I was thinking about the clouds, right? Now, some of us stay in buildings, and then when you open the tap, the water comes from the tap, right? Where is the water coming from? From a tanki above, from a tank above, right? So there's huge syntax tankis are there, huge, several thousand liters, 10,000 liters of tanki is there, and this pump from down goes up, and then again it comes down, right? So that's the system of water for most of us. Imagine God's system, right? He has made these huge oceans. How does God store water for supplying life, to maintain life, right? All life depends on water. Jal Jeevan hai. How does God store water in His world? He has provided 2/3 of the earth as water in the form of oceans and rivers, and He provides the sun. What does sun do? It sublimates the water, it rises as vapor, and becomes clouds. Right? So, what are clouds? Clouds are reservoirs of water. This is water in a different form. And it doesn't require syntax tanks. That water, billions of gallons of water, is simply floating in the air, defying gravity. Is it not wonderful? And I think about that a little more deeply, that God can float all the water He supplied to mankind and to all life, all the trees and all the life that is there. He just has to create a sun, sublimate it, suspend it in for the entire year, and at a particular time in the year, in June, July, August, September, reduce the pressure, the atmospheric pressure, and then the clouds start releasing the water. How wonderful. Is this not magic? Can anyone do that? Somebody was saying about how to understand God. He said, monsoon is a very nice time to understand God. I said, why? Because we see rainbows. Acha? What is fascinating? He said, nobody can paint in air. If you want to paint, you need a brush, you need a paint, and you need canvas, a paper or a canvas, something. But who can paint beautiful colors of violet and indigo and orange, red and green? Who can paint that in air? Right? No brush, no canvas. It's just a beautiful thing in the air. Right? Who can do that? Only God can do that. Right? So whether you are a theist or a atheist, you have to accept that there is supernatural powers which is making all this happen. Of course, we are all theistic people. But this is called as, what I'm driving the point is, we can be in our routine lives spiritually awakened. Spiritually awakened. Correct? And therefore, as we move, once we have, while we are pursuing the ladder of success, We do not want to miss out on happiness. There is no point in achieving success at the cost of happiness. It is a waste of human existence, which is achieved by the spirit soul, the Atma, after 84 lakh species of life. So you and I have evolved from, you and I may have been amoebas in some life. Whether you like it or not, it's true. I may have been amoeba in some pond, dirty pond. My soul may have been in an amoeba body. We all may have passed through earthworm body, kangaroo body, maybe a bacterial body, and you were killed by some augmentin or something. So we have passed through all that, and then we have grown out, and we've evolved through, aves and mammals, amphibians, and then we have come to human form. We have gone through 84 lakh species till you come to the level of Manav Janma, Manushya Janma. Therefore, the acharyas there is a great acharya from Bengal, from your Rashtra, Bengal, called Narottam Das Thakur. He says, Manushya Janma Paya Radha Krishna no bhajiya janiya shuniya 𝐉𝐻𝐻𝐈𝐍. Right? You are all Bengalis. I don't speak like a Bengali, but I'm speaking more like a Hindi. Huh? Manushya Janma Paya, you all have received human life. But in this life, what did you do? You only pursued material success. You did not do, you based on something very important. What is that? Radha Krishna no bhajiya. If you do that, then janiya shuniya, voluntarily, willingly, what are you doing? Your life is simply like drinking poison. You have poisoned your soul. You have killed your soul. The poison does not, this poison does not kill your body, but neglect of Radha Krishna's seva and his bhajan destroys our spiritual inclination. Right? And therefore, what we are doing today is so very important. Here, we are not talking about, material matters or material success and success of how to increase practice. All that, we're not doing that here. We're talking about deepening the spiritual goals of our life. Right? We are in a mood where we are willing to listen that yes, there is something more I must do in life. And what are the symptoms of truly somebody is awakened? He's able to accept things. Number one feature of a person who is spiritually awakened is he is able, and this is a way we can actually test, just like we test person's health, a liver health, you do a sonography, you do a LFT, you do a fibroscan, or you do elastography, right? Or you are liver biopsy, you can find out what is the health of the liver, right? You're going to do the heart, you do ECG, 2D echo, TMT, or a CT angio, or a coronary angio, find out about something about the heart. So how do I understand about my spiritual health? What are the criteria by which I can really understand, am I spiritually healthy or not? Right? So first thing is, am I experiencing inner peace and calm even in apparently unhealthy environment and situations? When things is going the way we want, we obviously feeling peace and calm. But when things are not going as per my plan, my design, right? Are we still able to keep inner peace and calm? That means, am I able to accept life as it comes, as it unfolds? Or do I offer severe resistance by complaining, cribbing, and becoming depressed? Right? The ability to really accept life as it comes and as it unfolds is a very important sign of spiritual awakened person. You might have heard the story of there's a great king, and he had his wazir, very wise, confidant. So whenever he was a very wise person, he was a very enlightened person. So whenever something would happen to the king, he would give him good advice and then ultimately say, Maharaj, this is all God's mercy. And no, He was working out well because things were going on in a particular way. And one day, the king, for some strange reason, uh, uh, when he was doing some activity, his finger chipped off in the hinges of the door, right? And his finger, he lost his little finger, right? And he was in massive pain, obviously, right? And to show sympathy, the wazir, his confidant, this wazir came and he pacified him and he said, "My dear Maharaj, this is God's mercy." And kings can be eccentric. Kings can be eccentric. So he was one of those, right? So he said, nonsense, He got so upset with him for saying he was in massive pain, and instead of saying, "Oh, sorry, we'll do something about it," he's saying, "This is God's mercy." So he got so upset, so wild with him. He said, "Take this rascal away from my sight. Right? Put him in the jungle. Put him in the jail." So he was a very eccentric fellow, right? Here is a confidant who has helped him so much, but sometimes so he lost his sense of balance. He put him in jail. As he's going to jail, he said, "This also is God's mercy." He said, "Get out from my sight." So he went to the jail, sitting there in jail. He was happy. He was one of those enlightened souls. He knew everything is happening by the will of the Lord. As they say, not even a blade of grass moves without his sanction. So his going to jail was one of those. He said, happily just, he didn't say, "Hey, how can you say this, Maharaj? I've been serving you for the last 25 years. He said, he just went there, right? And then there was another person, a competitor. Always there are competitors who are there in the courtroom. So in his absence of this wazir, there's another one who was very envious of his being so close to the king and always being with the king and getting all the perks which the king was giving him. So he said, so now he was promoted to become the king's confidant. So the king was very happy to have a new confidant. Said, "Come on, let's go out, let's celebrate," right? So anyway, the king, that finger was repaired or bandage, whatever they had done, and they went. Kings like to hunt. Kshatriyas, they like to hunt. So they went for a hunting expedition, deep in the jungles, and lost their way. Right, they lost their way, and then there were all these tribes, people staying, all the people, and then the tribes were into offering human sacrifice. Right, so they caught up this king, right, and they said, "Yeah, he's a big, muscle, powerful man, nice man. Chandika will be very happy today," right? So they bring him out, they remove his clothes, put him on this small copan here, and put oil over his body, and then they start chanting mantras and have some heroic dance to please Mata, right? And then this chief Purohit comes and starts feeling him. He sees this, only is not there. He said, "You cannot do this. Bali nahi chadega." What happened? Khandit. Bali is Khandit. So king was looking, he was already horrified with this turn of events suddenly, and then looked on the other side. They found the other fellow, right? He was standing there. Ulao. So they call him and examine him. He is not Khandit, right? So everything which is done to him is now done to this envious guy, and they put him with oil, put his head on the chopper, and then guillotine. Right? Guillotine is there, right? And he is finished. And the king is horrified with it. He's horrified with the experience, and he comes back, right? And he said, call the wazir, call the wazir. He said, "You are right. It is God's mercy. This finger, if it was intact, I would have lost. Better to lose your finger than lose your head." So I'm very pleased with you. You are really right. But tell me, dear Wazir, when you are going to the jail, you are saying, "This also is God's mercy." How is that? So see, my dear king, you like hunting, right? We have gone to hunting so many times together. I would have come with you for hunting. You would have been Khandit, and you looked at me, and they finished me off, right? So I was in the prison. I was very happy in the prison. So it was also God's, right? So this is a spiritual enlightened person, that his ability to accept the will of God, right, with a grateful heart. And like you have antibiotic resistance, right? So also we have psychological resistance in accepting God's will in our life. Hmm? We offer resistance. But when we are humble, we accept there is a hidden good in the apparent bad. There is always a hidden good in apparent bad. Right? And we should always accept this. There's another story which comes to my mind right now of a Chinese story of a person who had a horse, a stable where he was keeping horses, right? So he had a female horse, and he had a envious neighbor. He said, "Nice female horse, huh? Good luck. Good luck." So he was sort of taunting him, right? Good. She was very nice, beautiful, very strong, very muscular horse. They said, "Good luck, bad luck, who knows?" He was not impressed by that comment. And then one fine day, when he comes out in the morning, he finds there is a beautiful male horse has joined the female horse. The horse was just roaming around and he finds a nice female partner and he enters the ranch and he starts having connectivity with the horse. And the neighbor says, "Lucky, huh? Good luck." So he just says, "Good luck, bad luck, who knows?" Now he's got a free horse costs thousands of rupees to buy. He got a free horse. And he's not acknowledging that. He says, "Good luck, bad luck, who knows?" So then the son, he had a son, right? And son said, "Papa, I want to ride this new horse today," right? So he goes riding on the horse, but the horse is not used to this new fellow, right? So the horse, and then it does it, the leg is broken, leg is fractured. So the son is lying, so there's said, "Bad luck, huh? Your son is injured." So he says, "Good luck, bad luck, who knows?" Pagal admi. He's a mad fellow. His son has, lost his limb. He's fractured. He'll be in plaster cast for maybe 6 months. And he's saying, "Bad luck, good luck, who knows?" But is he in his sanity or not, right? And then suddenly there is a war. The neighboring king attacks this particular country, right? And then everybody is supposed to, when you have war, like we had the Vietnam War in 1960s, right? All the young Americans were recruited in the war, right? Even today, nowadays also when you have this Middle East wars, then, those are not trained. Suddenly they get a training, 7 days training, and they get a rifle in the hand and said, "Come on, go there. Go and start shooting the enemy," right? Suddenly, like emergency, you create warriors. So then the country had attacked, and then they wanted to recruit. They had no warrior because it's a massive attack. So they had to create a bigger army. So everyone who was young was recruited. So then this fellow, the neighbor's neighbor, he had a son who was also recruited in the army. And this guy was sitting there with a broken leg, so he couldn't go to the war, right? So was it good luck or bad luck? It's good luck, right? So what looked like bad luck was actually good luck. Until an interesting story on this comes to my mind. How Krishna is so very micromanaging a devotee's life when you take shelter of him. I remember right now of the attack of Kasab when he attacked at Victoria's at VT. All of you remember this infamous fellow Kasab and the terrorist from Pakistan, right? Created havoc in Mumbai. Taj was burnt out and all those. You remember all this, right? So there was a devotee of ours who was sitting in our Govinda's restaurant, right? And he had ordered for the pizza, right? Now nobody knows what's happening, right? It's all life is going on as routine. He goes with his friends and said, "Our Govinda's is famous for pizza," so he ordered pizza and he was sitting there, and this waiter brought for him the pizza, and he said, "Jal gaya hai, ye jal gaya hai. Go and get me a new one. I want to eat this." Right? What nonsense, right? So actually, the pizzas don't get burnt like that. We know how to you had a burnt roti or a burnt, sabji, but pizzas don't get burnt, right? Generally. So, but anyway, that waiter was a little kind and said, "Sir, sorry. दूसरा लेके आता हूँ सर ठहरो बैठो बैठेंगे ना आप बैठेंगे आया लेके आओ He goes inside. After 15 minutes, he comes out and brings a pizza. Very nice. Enjoys the pizza. And then he goes to VT station to go to his home. And at VT station, 15 minutes back exactly was the massacre. Was a massacre where he had opened fire to anybody, everybody who was on the station. And hundreds of people had just died. If he had reached 15 minutes before, standing for his train, he would have several bullets going through his body. But because the pizza was burnt, 15 minutes delayed, and the firing was already over, and he had escaped from there. So even a burned pizza can be the will of the Lord. Right? So never ever, there's no reason to get depressed if things don't go our way. Please try to find out what is the hidden good in the apparent bad. Because it's a world of dvandva, duality. What looks bad also has a hidden good. And what is my good Lord trying to teach me through this particular incident? Right? So to accept, we go into mode of reconciliation, go into mode of acceptance. This is a sign of a person who is spiritually awakened. Spiritually awake. A person who is actually living in the moment, in the present moment. That means he is not too much bogged down by the worries of the future and is not regretting the things about the past. You will see most of the time when you analyze your consciousness, look at your mind, we are usually worried about, and then we also have some regrets about something happened the way we didn't want it. So oh, that past, that he did this and she did that, and he did this and she did that, it happened and I failed in my exam. Something happened in the past and we are always brooding and complaining of that. And what? So the present is lost. As they say, the present is the present of God. Present का मतलब क्या है? Gift. Oh, I got a present for you. The present is a present of God, right? And to live that moment to its fullest, right, in divine consciousness is a sign of a person who is spiritually awakened. Right? To not pursue materialism, but pursue a life to increase our spiritual wealth. I like this wonderful story about wealth. All of us like money. And there's nothing wrong in liking money. Right? Money is honey, they say. Right? But is that going to be the only goal of our life? And that was taught very powerfully by Alexander. Alexander, as you know, conquered half the world practically. Right? And he came to India. But at the age of 32, he had a terrible terminal disease. Some people say he had got mandibular cancer. Some people say he had malaria. We don't know what the truth is, but maybe one of the two or something else. But then, all said and done, with all the physicians in the world who could help him at the time, he succumbed. At the age of 32, he died. Before dying, he called his confidants. He called his able ministers and said, when I die, do a few things which I am to tell you. He said, yes, sir. What is your dying desire? The desire of a dying man is very important. It is to be honored. Right? When I die, then when you make my coffin, put my hands out of the coffin. Yes, sir. And then when you're taking me from this place where I'm staying right now to the place where you bury me, put all the jewels, all the gold, and all the rubies I have collected and looted from everywhere. I said, yes, sir. But sir, so they asked, why? Why do you want to do this? He said, let the world see that Alexander came empty-handed. When he is dying, even though he has looted half the world and has conquered half the world, how is he going? Going empty-handed. You do not carry even half a cent with you. You brought nothing, you carry nothing. Empty-handed you come, empty-handed you go. Then what do we really carry? We can carry a lot of spiritual wealth. Why? Because only things done for the emancipation of the soul stay with the soul. And since the soul is indestructible in nature, the investments done on the soul also remain indestructible. All investments in gold, property, and mutual funds are destructible because they are filled with matter. They are material platform. But whatever you have done on the spiritual platform will be carried forward in your next life. And therefore, devotees being aware of this higher principle, they also, people who are enlightened, will also spend a regular amount of time. We talk about Murta, right? So, the Brahma Murta is the best time to accumulate spiritual wealth. That means about 1 hour and 30 minutes or so before sunrise is called as Brahma Murta. Right? So to get up in the morning at that time, when the cosmic vibrations are very conducive for spiritual awakening, a person gets up, right? Doesn't touch his mobile, doesn't go to the television set, doesn't start surfing, right? But he just takes a good bath, meditates, reads scripture, chants Hare Krishna mantra, right? Goes to the temple of the Lord, reads the Holy Scripture, and starts the day in divine consciousness. And thus energizes his entire day, and by infusing spiritual Shakti for the particular day. Right? And then he goes out and battles with the world. All the ups and downs, the difficulties he has to face, because he has been empowered by that Shakti he got in the morning. So for all those who are spiritually awakened, getting up at 9 o'clock is not advisable. We sleep at 10 and sleep for about good 7 hours, get up at 5 or 4, whatever is possible, but actually spend time in the morning for spiritual growth. Because we know that this is eternal treasure. One Acharya said very nicely, what is true wealth? What is true wealth? True wealth is that wealth when you possess those things which money cannot buy. True wealth is in possessing those things which money cannot buy. Right? So money cannot buy so many things. We think everything, if you have money, you have everything, right? But the many things money cannot buy. And if you possess that, you have integrity, you cannot buy. Character, you cannot buy. Devotion to God, you cannot buy. When you have these assets of character, integrity, and devotion to the Lord, that is a non-material entity which does not require money. The more of that you have, the more wealthy you are. The simple Sudama living at Porbandar, offering Krishna, dwarkadhish, just a handful of, chida, chipped rice, they call it chida, right? Chipped rice, offering that, a poorest of the poor person living below poverty line, but offering that to his Lord, and he purchased Krishna with just a handful of poa. He purchased him by the power of his love. He was so wealthy that he attracted the king, the Lord Dwarkadhish, right? Because he had that wealth of devotion. My dear friends, with this we would like to end and request all of you to kindly make this a regular feature. To come together, to congregate, work hard in our professions, help people who are suffering. They need us. It's a very noble profession where we are here to really help those who are suffering and coming to our door, and we can help them for improving their health, counseling them for a better lifestyle, etc. However, in the process of helping others, we want to help ourselves. Therefore, the title for today was given as Physician, Heal Thyself. Right? So we want to help ourselves And best way to help ourselves is to be in touch with people who are spiritually enlightened, like the one like Acharya Prabhu and others who are sitting over here, who are here as our spiritual mentors, right? Who are selflessly trying to help human society live a better quality of life. And doctors are shreshthas, people who will listen. The world listens to doctors. Patients listen to their doctors, right? So when we speak something, it has got power and potency. So when we have the Shakti of our own individual realization, then when we share with our patients, patients will appreciate that. So let us help ourselves, help our families, help our friends, and help our patients to become physically, mentally, and spiritually healthy. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Yeah. Any questions or any comments? Doctor? Yes. Hare Krishna. You can use this one.
Just a question that what is your take on a change of the definition of WHO health? Health, WHO definition of health needs to change. They're adding the spiritual thing.
What is your take on that?
Yeah.
See, we respect WHO, but WHO is not being governed by people who are themselves spiritually enlightened. Right? So I would not necessarily accept their version of health as being the most bona fide. Rather, our ancient scriptures, written by, for example, by Charak, right? So our ancient physicians like Charak and others have also defined health in a much more comprehensive manner, where elements of prasanna indriya have been written, right? Where I do not know the Sanskrit part. Sorry for that. I did not really go in, but I've heard it from my friends who are senior Ayurvedic practitioners that the health definition of Charak is so comprehensive that where you are able to have proper detoxification of your body, that means your excretive system is working very well, your indriyas are in a satisfied state, there is mind is in a prafulit chitta, right? And atma is in a prasanna atma, right? So it has already addressed physical, mental, and spiritual, right? So Charak was a saintly person. He was a saintly doctor, a saintly physician, right? So these people were far more enlightened than the people who are governing today WHO. So I would rather accept that definition of health. And of course, in due course of time, the world is beginning to understand that they used to call it as X earlier, right? Physical, mental, spiritual, and X. It was very funny. We may not know this, but there is the time in the past where not when there is some element which is missing. So when you say something is missing, what do you say in maths? It's called as X. So some unknown factor. Let's call it X. Right? It's in algebra we do that. Let's call it X. So the people who are governing WHO, they knew that there is something missing. That people who had physical, emotional, and this sort of health, but they were not really experiencing good health. So they called it that factor. They did not know what it was. What did they call it as? X, right? But we know that it is not X. It is not nothing. It is actually addressing your core, your very core, which is your source of consciousness, that is your Atma. And therefore, for us, physical, mental, uh, social, and spiritual, that actually is. In fact, in our hospital, as Dr. Acharatna Prabhu said, it is our motto of our hospital. That when any patient comes into hospital, it is probably only hospital where truly not just say it as a mission statement, but actually practices that. Hmm? We have a whole department of people going to the bedside of practically every patient, offering an unpaid service. Every service in hospital are usually paid. When doctor visits you on the bedside, he signs, right? Everyone signs. He has a fees, right? But the spiritual counselors, they visit every patient in the hospital. We have 250 beds now, but they offer unpaid service by talking to every patient and understanding their woes, their worries, counseling them to really cope up with that particular situation, to de-stress them, right? So that is done to every bedside. And those who are a little more spiritually awakened, they have the criteria where they can understand who is spiritually more awakened, right? They also offer spiritual counseling to them. Correct? And therefore, there are so many stories which our department can tell you about transformations of consciousness when people have come to our hospital. Whether they are Muslims or Hindus or Sikhs or Christians, irrespective, right? But the whole atmosphere is truly catering to the entire individual in a wholesome manner. Right? So that is the glory of our hospital. So we don't just want a definition, but actually practice it, on every patient who comes to Bhakti Vedanta. In fact, not only the patients, but the doctors. One of my surgeons, I was talking to him. He is a very special neurosurgeon, and he performed some very rare surgery which are published in the paper, by like treating bilateral, surgical treatment of bilateral trigeminal neuralgia. And he did in a hospital a rare surgery never done in India about a teratoma in the dura, dural teratoma in a very strategic place in the brain. So he performs these exalted surgeries which are very rarely done in the country, but he did it in our hospital. I was very happy. He was telling me, Dr. Dalal, I come to this hospital not for money. I can get it in a Bombay hospital. He's a surgeon in Bombay hospital. He said, I come here because I know, and some of my friends agree with me, we come here because this hospital makes us feel closer to God. We feel closer to God, right? So he's doing all his work, he's operating, he's doing everything, he's doing all this, but he simply comes here because he feels just the atmosphere of walking into the hospital, he feels his heart is in alignment with the supreme truth, that is God, right? In fact, I already invited you last year. If you can, invitation comes for the second year of all of you. If you ever come to Mumbai, right, for any particular reason, please let us know through our friends here. We'll be most happy to really to show you the hospital. It is going to be a totally different experience than you have ever seen in your life. All doctors have visited so many hospitals for training and for post-graduation and for practice and nursing home, etc., etc. But if you come to our hospital, you will see it is completely different. Completely different, right? Right from the time you enter the Parangan, like you had Rath Yatra here, right? Rath Yatra, big Rath Yatra, I was told by Prabhu that you had 20 lakh people over 7 days. The biggest Rath Yatra is after Jagannath Puri Rath Yatra. Can you have a hospital which has Rath Yatra also? Answer is yes. In our hospital, every year we have a beautiful Rath Yatra. We have a beautiful Rath made where we install our presiding deities are Jagannath, Balram, Subhadra, Marahani. They are installed on their cart, right? And there are ropes, beautiful decorated balloons and festoons, and the whole hospital campus around is filled with all festoons and balloons and flowers and everything, etc. And we take 3 rounds around the hospital. We go around, right? So the people are pulling, right? So the first round, the doctors will come and pull. Then the nursing staff will pull. And then the attendant staff will come and pull, right? So they all pull the rath in 3 rounds around, right? And everyone is dancing, singing, merrymaking, right? Chanting Krishna's glories, Jagannath's glories. So this is such a hospital where there are festivals. You can, if I tell you stories, you'll be surprised. ऐसा भी होता है, ऐसा भी होता है, ऐसा भी होता है. You'll probably not even believe what I'm saying, but it is true, right? I'm not just saying it. There is so many uniqueness about our hospital. Uh, the Mahamantra, of course, is always there. We have exalted sound of His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada permeating the entire atmosphere. Day in and day out, absolutely just the Prabhupada's divine sounds emanating from his lotus mouth, speaking slokas, hymns, prayers, bhajans, and Mahamantra is constantly going through all the corridors, operation theaters, including the mortuary, including the mortuary, where people who have apparently died are there, but they can also hear. The soul oftentimes hangs around for a while before it goes away. So there are unique features. So we have incorporated, so the hospital is a unique model where doctors are spiritually enlightened and they feel very spiritually awakened. Patients feel like that, and the staff is so happy. We are not the best paying masters, but there are so many hospitals in South Bombay which can pay much more, right? And there are a lot of government jobs which pay much more. But most nurses will deny and decline a higher paying job. Money is so required, inflation is so high, cost of living has gone up, right? You have growing children, etc., etc., a lot of money. But they will not leave the hospital because they feel this is our hospital. So we have on the annual day, annual day takes place on 11th January every year. It began in 1998, 26 years are over now. So we have what is called as legacies, carriers of legacies. That's the award we give. Those who are carriers of legacies, that means those who have finished more than 20 years in the hospital. And there are literally every year dozens of people who get this award because they have not left the hospital for 20 long years. From the staff, from the clerical side, from the technicians in the lab, various places, but who have been around for 20 long years, and therefore they are called as, the award is carriers of legacy. Carriers of legacy, right? So it's a very endearing place, and therefore when you work there, you won't feel you are working in the hospital. You just won't feel like that. Sometimes I'll have to see a lot of patients. OPD lasts for several hours. But even if I have seen OPD for 8 hours continuously, I still have energy to see more. You don't feel tired. And I'm not joking. You can see 8 hours. Sometimes OPD goes for 8 hours constantly. One after another. They're talking, hearing, prescribing, counseling, going on from morning 11 o'clock till 7 in the night, right? But as I said, if there are more patients, I can see them. Not for any material gain, but the energy levels are so high because the hospital is so surcharged with spiritual energy, Shakti, right? So I invite all of you, my dear friends, if you ever come to Bombay, please pay a visit to Meera Road, right? To Bhaktivedanta Hospital and Research Institute. And we have a research department, and we have published about 82 papers right now in international and national journals. And we also have spiritual research being done. The impact of Mahamantra on hospital stay, impact of Mahamantra on healing of wounds, and impact of the Mahamantra on various dimensions of clinical recovery, right? Many such papers are there. So not only this papers, but there are other pharmacological interventions and phase 3, phase 4 research also is done. So it's a hospital which has got a very vibrant with so many activities going on. So please come. That's all I can say. Please come and experience once at least. You will be grateful that you came. Any other question? So thank you all for a very patient hearing. Prabhu, you have a question? You have a question.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. So thank you so much for your valuable time and your insights, as so many years you have given to this practice. So today many medical students are also there.
Okay.
They're Calcutta National Medical College and Sagar Datta Medical College.
Very good.
So third part 1. So many students are there, and
Third year, first semester.
Third year, first semester. Yes, almost third. So basically, as you know, that they are coming for the first time, but during student days, we have lot more anxiety and pressure, and nowadays syllabus is changing.
Syllabus is changing.
The next one, something is called next. No, full syllabus is changing.
Acha.
The pattern of everything is changing,
Oh.
and moreover, nowadays medical is so tough that quota is like 64%.
Reservation.
And 30 reservation, and 36% is for general people. So how to go ahead with such pressure? Because right now, after becoming doctors, like many of us are here as doctors, but this phase, how they can go through? And you are here since 1980s. You came to spirituality in your MBBS time only. So any tips for them so that they can apply and at least?
Well, this part about what you are saying, reservations and quota and all, this is very sad. That's what I can say. Very sad that all the bright students who can do so much for the country, for themselves, right, just because of the policies which are governed by, of course, politicians, right? So we are a little helpless in this regard, and therefore we feel sometimes sad for our young budding doctors that they may have to face such an intense amount of competition, and whether they will get the field of their choice during post graduation, we really don't know. It's a big query. Having said that, I feel this is the best time for students to actually really invest even a few minutes per day in spirituality. And because before you get out into the world, see, when you get into practice, it's like a whirlpool. You get sucked in, right? When practice is very intense activity. You get just involved, like day in and day out, day in and day out, day in and day out. The patient pressure is so high, right? You just have no time to even practically for yourself. Sometimes you don't have time for your families, for your children, because practice just sucks you. But in student life, you have the ability to really absorb new ideas, right? And this is we're talking about new syllabus. What I'm hearing now is that they are going to add the element of consciousness in our curriculum also. You see, in all the medical books, there is no mention of the source of consciousness. It's supposed to come from the brain. But as you know, brain is not the source of consciousness. Brain is just one which expresses consciousness, right? But it is not the source of consciousness. But what I'm hearing is that in the Neo-Bharat situation, that because there are people who are spiritual enlightened making syllabus now, so I'm not saying necessarily in medical books, but in our curriculum, they are going to adopt the element of Panchakosh, right, and going to add the element of consciousness and also taking care of that dimension. So we invite our young doctors to really understand this dimension also. Like Prabhu used to say sometimes very simply, what is the difference between a living body and a dead body? Very simple question, but very profound question. Right? Which is a university in the world which teaches you difference between a living body and a dead body? Right? Everything is there. Is a liver there? Is a kidney there? Is a brain there? Blood there? And just few seconds back, the body was living. The leptospira patient was living. Just 2 minutes back, and now the line is flat. What happened? What is it a chemical? It is a chemical. Then we know by now, where so much of genetic engineering is known. And genetics has gone so deep, right? That if there's just a chemical, you could. Hare Krishna. Sorry. Yeah. We could have made that chemical in the laboratory, injected back into our patients and made them alive. Right? Because we know the body, we have dissected to such a degree now, gone to the level of, DNA, and even beyond that, we've gone deep into genetic engineering, right? Epigenetics and so many genetic fields are grown up. But we know there is no chemical which can make the body alive. Right? What is the missing link? the resident of the body has left. One was residing in this body for the last 30 years, 40 years, or 80 years. He's no longer there. The car is there, the driver has left. Till the driver was there, the car was moving, front, back, sideways, honking, braking, accelerating, whatever. You are running, you're doing these things like how human body, right? Like a car. When the soul goes, the driver is gone. The car remains there. Nothing can move the car. It's so simple, right? So yes, as students, we need to understand that this is there. And unless I am, as a doctor, I am not aware about these principles, then my practice of medicine is very incomplete. Right? I'm not dealing with a bunch of chemicals. I'm dealing with human life, which is full of consciousness. Correct? So these things are very scientific in nature, absolutely. So spend some, and of course, what to talk about the stress levels, talk about the stress. So there is nothing better than, during my exams, a lot of stress was there, a lot of stress. My MD exams, I'm remembering, it's a little funny. So when I went to give my MBBS exams, right? So the center was very close to my hostel, and people who were there, MBBS exams, the parents had come to leave their beta. That daughter is there, son is there. All parents had come. Beta jao, kuch bhi nahi, likh ke aao. Everyone is panting, everyone is crying. Mummy, whether you will pass or not. Everyone is in anxiety, right? Everyone is in so uncertainty. The stress is so high because MBBS used to be, I don't know how it is now, but it was quite stressful. And myself and my friend, we went and we were carrying prasadam with us. We said, "Ye लीजिए prasad. Prasad, lao, prasad, lao." We give to the patient, the parents, we give to the, appearing, they were like us, we were preparing for exams, they were also preparing for exams. They came from different medical colleges, right? We did from Nair Medical College and Topiwala Instrument College, TNMC, and the GMC and Science, people were there from different places. And we were giving prasad to all of them. And they were wondering, "Kya, kaun hai? Aapka exam hai kya aaj?" So, हमारा भी exam है, तो आपका exam है, आपको कोई tension नहीं है क्या? We were very relaxed. I got up in the morning at 4 o'clock. As my usual, I used to do in hostel days. I did a small arti of Radha Krishna, Samsara Dava, and then I chanted my 16 rounds, right? And I revised whatever I was supposed to revise, right? Whatever I could do. And it was completely stress-free, right? So Mahamantra is just a beautiful way of de-stressing. Manastrayati iti mantra. So all our students go to so much of stress, massive amount of stress. And stress, if it is physiological stress, it increases efficiency. If it is beyond physiological stress, it becomes destructive, right? It's good stress and bad stress. So good stress is good because it helps you to work better. But it becomes bad stress, you crash, you go blank, you can't think, you can't answer the viva. You know the answer, but you just pressurize it. You can't answer the professor what he's asking. But if you're cool, if you practice meditation and Mahamantra, spirituality, then your nerves are in control. Your mind is so difficult to control, but the Mahamantra helps you to control your mind. And only with the controlled mind, that apparatus of the mind, can you actually achieve real success in life. So if you want to achieve success, spirituality is going to help you to achieve success as well. On the material platform. For material platform, simply chanting Mahamantra gives you a lot of confidence, a lot of stability of mind, a lot of control over your mind and faculties. Right? It's useful. So I invite all our students to really practice at least 15 minutes of chanting Hare Krishna. Right? If you do that, I'm sure, you must already train them, I'm sure, to do that. But maybe more if possible, but at least 15 minutes of chanting Hare Krishna will help. Hare Krishna. Yeah. Our doctor wants to ask something.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. My name is Juhi Dhanawat. Just one question. I also passed from Bombay, CGS Medical College.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I'm a gynecologist. But now I've been around over there. It's very toxic. I almost first year, I ran away 3 times. Luckily, I ran away 3 times when my first year to the airport to come back to Calcutta, but something clicked me and I didn't go back. It was a very terrible time.
Especially GS.
Yes, it's very, very
Especially
toxic.
GS.
Especially GS. It's very toxic
More
environment.
than TNMC and GMC. GS was always like that.
Yes.
Ah.
Also, when I was doing my senior residency, my bond year in Nair, and we had a suicide. Yes, it was very bad. That time I was not in Krishna consciousness. I had no idea about any of this. So my question is, what are we doing to preach in these medical colleges? At
Preach?
least over there? Yes, or because if there was, I wasn't aware of it. Probably I was too busy.
Yeah.
But since you are saying that the Bhakti Vedanta Hospital in Bombay is running so well and everything,
Yes.
as students, and if we are at that point of time and if we take it then, life gets much easier even during practice now.
Sure.
So then I was not aware, and it was a terrible, terrible time. And I know also for a lot of colleagues of mine and everybody, if you're a doctor's kid, they are much well equipped to deal with it. But if you come from a business background and all of that, it's very difficult to take in the pressure. And after passing all the NEET exam and everything and going through all of that pressure, and then you're not able to take the pressure of the course, that's
Yeah.
even worse.
Mm.
So what is happening? Because there is IIT preaching, there are multiple other preachings, but medical college, what is the problem? Or do we not preach? Or maybe in the future, how could we preach? Because it is a very evident problem even today.
Correct. Thank you for bringing it up.
Thank
you. When did you pass your PG? Your
2018 I passed
2018.
in CGS, yes. And 19 I finished my book.
Okay. So when I left Nair. I finished my MD in 1990, and I had this urge in my heart that I must give back to my institute. Right? I always felt that this place was a place which gave me medical knowledge and also gave me Krishna Bhakti. So I started going back to the hostel where I spent a lot of my good time. And I just started calling the young students, right, to come and, gathered them in the canteen and said, come on, let's have a dialogue. I started talking to them. So I stayed, Mira Road is 1 hour away from more than 1 hour away from Grant Road, Bombay Central. But I started going there and spent a few years doing that. And then the temple actually got activated also. So now from our Radha Gopinath temple, which is at Chowpatty, then there are teams of people going regularly to Sion, to Nair, to GS, and to GMC. So there are 4 teams which are already there, going to all. In fact, we have the harvest of that preaching is that many people who have done the post-graduations are now at Bhakti Vedanta. They became devotees during their UG/PG days, right? They did their radiology, they did their ophthalmology, some of them did their pathology, right? So they graduated out and they didn't go hunting here and there for, settling down or getting up the clinics, but they just said, okay, we are devotees and we have a hospital which is ready for us, and it's climbed in. So at Bhaktivinoda, we are the senior batch who started the project, but we have the next batch which has come, and many of them have become devotees, not in the hospital, but they became devotees when they were doing their UG/PG. Yes, there is very active. In fact, they have Janmashtami. Nowadays, for the dean has to be a little favorable. You know that how it goes in medical colleges. But if the dean is favorable, then they allow in the hostel various things to take place. Correct? The warden has to be a little favorable also. Dean and the warden, these 2 people are more important than anybody else. So now the wardens are favorable. Then we have Janmashtami in the temple, in the hostels. Oh yeah. So we are very conscious of this fact, and in every batch now that comes out, we have a few people who are actively pursuing Krishna consciousness. Yes, madam.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
It was really very enlightening, and it was very, vividly that you talked about the whole thing. So I'm also a practicing gynecologist. Pardon me if you have already spoken about this in the previous session. Can you please tell me that what was your point of spiritual awakening? Like how it happened in your life, and what made you stick to the faith?
It may have been something from past life. I don't know. I do not know my past life, right? But as a young child, I remember the latest I can remember, earliest I can remember is when I was 7 years old, right? Where spontaneously my heart started craving for philosophy. And I went to various, parents would go to various places, and I would gravitate towards going to more temples. And as I grew up, my craving for knowledge increased, right? I became a knowledge craving person. And it didn't seem to fit too well with my cousins who are just having a good time and just chit chatting and gossiping and taunting and pulling people's legs, and you know how social gatherings nowadays is just all that goes on, right? I said this doesn't resonate with what I want to do in life. If this is social life, then I don't want the social life. There must be something higher. There must be something. As a teenager, I started going into philosophy. So I started reading the philosophers of India, Aurobindo, then I read Vivekananda, then I read Mahatma Gandhi, and all the philosophers of the times, the popular ones. I read that. I remember going to people's houses and my uncle's place, wherever I went, my parents would be talking and sitting, Kemcho Saru Che, doing the normal socializing. I would go to the bookshelf and see what books do they have. If I found a book of philosophy, I would take it. I said, can you excuse me? I'm going to read. I go inside and read, right? So that craving was there. And therefore, from the knowledge-seeking behavior of mine, I was attracted when we went to Juhu temple. Juhu temple is Radha Rasberi temple. And then when my parents became life members, they gave us a lot of books by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada as part of the membership gain, right? So as you know, Prabhupada has written many, many books, right, which are popular. They are like, those books have now become textbooks on spirituality in so many universities all over the world. So lucky to get a whole set of books, and my parents were not going to read them. They were just happy becoming members of ISKCON and going and staying there in 3 days here and there. A lot of benefits they were giving. But I was a guy who was going to take advantage. So I started reading all the books, right? And already my hunger was rising to know more. There is something more to it than this. And those books, more than any other books I read, made so much sense because they were scientific, they were very logical, and they were so rationally presented to intelligent young man's brain. Right? There's especially one book which really hit me very hard, which I recommend to all my friends, and that is The Science of Self-Realization. That book, actually, you have read that book? You have that book? If you haven't read it, please read it. I recommend this to all of you. It is the book which really, really, sort of you say, hit me so hard. I remember I was going in the first class compartment to my college, and that behavior of mine to not waste time, keep on reading something. Medical students, they like to read. So they're a little crazy on reading, right? We sit in the library for hours and keep on reading. So like that. So I was standing in the train and reading this book, SSR. And I remember at a particular point of time, I don't know where between the journey of Malad to Bombay Central, I got so convinced by the arguments that this is it, and something in the heart said, this is the philosophy you're supposed to follow. And the reinforcement of that particular conviction came a little further, stronger in my life when I read Prabhupada's life. If ever you get a chance, this another book I recommend to you is to read Prabhupada Lilamrit. And the struggle and the sacrifice and the compassion of one Bengali great gentleman, a Mahatma, right, who brought this divine message to the whole world. And today it has become a household word, right? How this one man struggled and what he has done, and his overpowering compassion for everyone, not just Indians or Americans, but for anyone and everyone in this world. When I read his life, and especially his departure, right, I said, this is it. This is it. There's no looking back. This is the process and this is the person. That's it, finished. This book is the process and this is and now I had both. I had the person and the process both. And then I never gave it up. And then of course, to add it more further, we had our friends. I think on this path, we cannot be alone. You need proper camaraderie. So as I became a devotee in Nair Hospital, then we had some friends who were parallelly being preached to in GMC, Grand Medical College. So they became devotees there. And we met together at the Juhu temple. I said, you're a medical student? Acha. You're also a medical student? Acha. Okay, so we become friends, right? And our friendship has lasted for the last, we came together in 1984, and for the last 40 years, we've still been thick friends. And together we thought, let's make a change, let's make a difference in this world, right? So we did various things, and then as a result of that friendship and our being rooted in Krishna consciousness, our spiritual mentors guided us and launched a small clinic and a small nursing home, then a small hospital, and now Bhakti Hospital Research Institute, which is what it is today. So this is that friendship also helped a lot in staying together, stuck together. Kuch karna hai. We want to be different. We don't want to be just doing the same routine practice, earn money, family life. Blah, blah. Everyone does that. There's something more to life than that. Short story. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Thank you. So I think it's time to end now, Prabhu. We would have Kirtan. Sure. Kirtan? Okay.